All right, everybody. This episode is brought to you by Anheuser Designs. We just got some patches from them, so now we have gotten patches and T-shirts for all your special needs of your small business or anything like that. Make sure you give those guys a shout out. Trevor Murphy at Anheuser Designs. They will take care of you. And with that, I believe.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's Kyle and KZ.
More people get their voice out there, then I think they'll realize like we're all the same, really.
KZ decided, let's do it. Took the bait, so here we
Veteran Chat Project.
where it's encouraged to not be okay all the time. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle.
And KZ.
And why don't you go ahead and bring us in, brother? Got the vote.
Dang it. I'm just kidding. It's been what was the last time we were on live? A couple days ago?
Yes, Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. So since Sunday, we this Pam, who's our guest today, we spoke to her, or I spoke to her. I messaged her a couple weeks ago, I think a month ago. I think we had to reschedule because of Memorial Day, and then we had to reschedule again because of work. But we finally got her here.
Yeah.
Pam, I don't want to butcher your last name, so I'll have you say it. But welcome to the show. Happy to have you on. She's she's part of the 2200 Tabs podcast and organization, and we'll talk about that here in a minute during the show. Awesome stuff that they're doing. The one thing I saw when I was looking over y'all's website and podcast is the fact that like you guys aren't afraid to have those tough conversations, which is what we're all about, because having those tough conversations help break down that mold or that barrier of the stigma against the negative stigma against mental health and suicide prevention. So I applaud you guys for what you're doing, you're doing. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. I'm having a good day overall. I think before we hit record, I'm like, man, it's been quite a day. Texas heat is getting stupid. There's like 110 heat index today, and it's not even the hottest part yet.
That's not.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
just getting cooking.
Yeah, we're definitely sauteing over here. But yeah, so my name is Pam. Last name is Barragan or Barragan, however you want to say it.
Barragan.
I don't care if you butcher it. It shouldn't be my last name much longer, hopefully.
There you go.
Yeah, not getting married, just going back to my birth name. And
Gotcha.
So it's good, man. It's just like you said, having these hard conversations is we want to make it normal.
Yes.
So that's there's a lot of really cool backstory on how this whole mission started and stuff. But thank you both for having me. Really cool what you guys are doing.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, and I definitely want to get into how it started. That's, I think the origin stories are very important, especially when it comes to stuff like this. Are you a Texas native?
I am. I was born and raised in Corpus Christi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Selena. So, yeah, I was born and raised there. And then when I was 18, I got a scholarship to play softball for either Texas or UL Lafayette, Louisiana. And I ended up going to UL Lafayette, did a couple of years there, and I failed out of college because I hated school. So found myself back in Texas, and I was like, I need to be part of something bigger.
Yeah.
And being in Corpus, you see the Coast Guard helicopters flying around and stuff. I'm like, I want to do that. And I went into a recruiter's office and pretty much enlisted on the spot.
Nice.
And my first, from South Texas, you would go to Cape May, New Jersey for basic. And then my first duty station was in Maine. So I went from South Texas to like damn near Canada. And I think I cried when they gave me my orders.
Oh, no, I would too.
Dude, I'm like, this is crazy. So yeah, that's how that kind of started.
Yeah. How'd you like it in Maine? Like after thinking like, oh shit, and then getting there, how'd you enjoy it? I did have a buddy that recently moved from there, and it's all he talks about. He's like, oh, Maine this, Maine that, specifically like the seafood.
Oh yeah, we had, so our station was next door to like Bill's Lobster, which ships like nationwide, and we had a cook that he didn't even know how to cook rice. So we literally would walk across, go get a lobster. At the time, it was like $8 a pound. And the lobstermen, they would offload their catch, from their boats, and they hated us until they needed us. I'll just say that. And we got in some pretty dicey situations. A couple where I probably shouldn't even be here talking to y'all, but
yeah,
we're here, and but outdoors, yeah, like just outdoory, like hiking and all. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. But the winters are brutal.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
brutal.
I know
Yeah.
something about them brutal winters now. I can now finally like chime in and be like, I know something about brutal winters.
I think
I froze solid last year. No,
I don't know about I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Kyle, but like when we that first deployment with 30CR, you and I were with we came back in, we flew into Maine. That was the first spot we landed in. And damn, it was in January. It was so cold. But we were like, we need to go
dude,
have a smoke break. We're just out there in like 4 feet of snow. It's just like, I don't care. I'm never coming back to the state.
I think that's when they were. It was at Bangor, I believe, or no?
Bangor.
I want to say that's where we flew in. But
Yeah.
yeah, they had the whole airport. Like everyone was there. Well, like they had like a welcoming party that was always there, welcoming people from those connecting flights. Would either be in what was the other one? Canada, right? It's either in Canada or Maine when you were going to Iraq or Kuwait. Bangor, yeah, he was right. I was right. Yep.
Yeah. We had a fly in. We flew in from. I flew into Boston, and then we took like a jumper to Bangor, and then from Bangor, I drove to Southwest Harbor, which is in Acadia National Park. Nice. And what they don't tell you in the Coast Guard, more specifically, because that's what I was in, your ass needs to do cold water survival training. So when it's cold, you're getting in there and you are doing your cold water survival swim, 10-minute swim, tread water, all that stuff. But then if they get a little, spicy, they put somebody in a Stokes litter, they put them in the water. Now you have to you got to go be rescue Randy for the most part and figure that shit out. So yeah, when I say it's cold, it's a little cold.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Maine's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Why did you what other than the fact that they were visually accessible, why the Coast Guard?
I wanted to help people. And I grew up on the ocean, on the beach. I loved the water. I'm such a water baby, and I loved it, man. I wanted to be a rescue swimmer, and that was before I even knew what the hell they did and realized you got to be a little crazy to do that.
Yeah, nuts. Yeah,
and that's really why I joined. And then I wanted to fly, and it just I ended up doing 11 years, 9 active, 2 reserves, and 7 of which was search and rescue.
Holy cow!
Yeah, I did it mostly on the boats, on the small boat side.
There's I gotta ask this question because there's a lot of military movies, and like everyone, most of everyone's like, that's inaccurate. I and some of them I can say that, it is inaccurate, but I can't speak on other branches. What's that movie, The Guardian?
I was gonna say, please ask about The Guardian.
Yeah, like, how accurate is that?
Should I still like it or no?
Because I actually like it.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
I mean, like, it's a good story, but I can't imagine it's like 100% accurate. Like, no movie's gonna be 100% accurate because everyone's got their own story. But I can imagine like you'd be like, man, fuck that movie.
So it's funny, like when they were filming that movie, I was actually at Air Station Cape Cod because I was trying to go aviation. And it came out, and there's some of the guys are like, man, that was kind of a cool movie, and the swimmers are like, that sucked, but for the most part, they actually had real rescue swimmers showing the guys what to do, how to do it, and we're actually in the movie. The plot, I mean, it's a little excessive.
I mean, it's a Costner movie.
Yeah, I mean, he can't do casual, and he gets
Costnered the fuck out of it.
Yeah, I mean, he basically offed himself to save, Jake's life. Sorry if you haven't seen the movie. I kind of just gave away the ending. But
spoiler alert. Sorry,
had plenty of time.
It came out in 2006, dude.
A little
17
late.
years behind. No, but I think it depicted a really, the aviation side, anyways. And Airedales always get the freaking glory because I mean they just go out and it's crappy weather. Like it's really shitty. That's true.
Yeah.
But I was stationed with Airedales that they were kind of arrogant. They have their cute little flight suit on, their aviator glasses, and I'm like, dude, you're such a douche.
It's probably like tankers are the rest of the army. We got our straps on our
stupid little boots,
stupid boots, and you don't have to blouse them, and you're always fucking yeah. And we get to carry around a 9mm instead of our rifle on boast. When we're deployed, people hated us for that.
There
was
is
easy.
actually a good movie that I enjoy because it depicted more of the small boat side, and that's called the Finest Hours. So it's about a real life, rescue where the small boats had to go out. And that was really, it was a little excessive, but back in the day they actually did that. Now not so much because they have a lot of you can't go out a certain amount of waves depending on the size of small boat, and like there's so many like regulations now because of salty bastards like that who broke the rules that ended up getting killed. So thankfully I came in basically coming through the ranks from those salty guys, so I learned a lot from those guys. And on my way out, it was more like the kinder, gentler, here's your GMT training, sexual. I mean, there was some training that needed to be happening because there were some loose cannons, but for the most part, it was just getting like the sensitivity was through the roof. And when I came through, they gave me a toothbrush to go clean a diesel engine. And I'm like, this really happens? I thought this was like only on like MASH or some shit. No, I remember just cleaning freaking, okay. I did it. So
here's a good question. They said, what's the good Coast Guard friendly bash name like Chair Force for the Air Force? Wasn't it?
I've never heard of it like a pun for the Air Force.
Well,
or for
didn't
the
they?
Coast Guard.
What were they talking shit about? Yeah, I was gonna say Puddle Pirate was one that he called him in the
Maybe,
bar in that movie
Puddle
that we were
Pirates.
just talking about. He's like, "What the fuck did he call you?" He's like, "They went back to the bar and whooped their ass."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Puddle
puddle pirate.
Oh,
Or you
yeah.
got to be at least 6 feet tall to join. So if the boat capsizes, you can walk back to shore. Like, oh, that's stupid shit.
That's a good
I'm like,
one.
you got it.
Write
You got
that
it.
down. That's that's cool though.
What year did you were talking about the? I think we all experienced. I know I did experience the change within the Army itself.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that was in the military as a whole. What year did you get out?
I enlisted in 03. I got out for good in 2015, January. But I was in inactive ready reserve in 2014. I just had to sit out that last year to finish out my contract.
Yeah.
So 2003, I mean, I was in basic when the war kicked off in Iraq.
Shit, yeah.
Like I remember they took us up to the squad bay. They're like, we just went to war. It was like in March of 03. And I'm like, wow, okay, let's go,
Right.
Yeah.
It's a little different for us because unless your ship is sent overseas, you're not going to go unless you ask to go. So it's very different for us in the Coast Guard.
Oh.
Yeah, but we're over there. We actually lost a guy to a suicide bomber on a small boat in 2004, Nathaniel Bruckenthal.
Damn.
Yeah, they were doing a boarding. We lost him and another Navy guy, and that's when like stuff was really popping off. There's like a pocket, and I've said it on my podcast from like 2004 to like 7 or 8. That little pocket was just stupid for everybody, especially you guys, like overseas. And so it's
that's when I joined, and when I went overseas for the first time was 08. So yeah. James Alder is one of the guys we were talking about. He was on our show earlier, and he listens every time. But 2003, so he was actually, wasn't he? You were in basic, Alder, when 9/11 happened, or
yeah, he was there. He said,
yeah. So like he was, yeah. He's got some deployments under his belt and shit like that too. So I mean, like I joined in 08, and just to speak on that that kind of change, like what year, like is that about the same time you started kind of seeing that change?
2000
like 2009ish, I'd say.
2009, 2010.
Because I felt like I was brought up by the old army, but only to live in the new army.
When Obama took office, I'll just say like that era started a big shift that I started seeing.
Do y'all remember in 2010? I don't know if it happened military wide. That's a stupid thing to not know, but how we didn't get paid when we were downrange.
That was 2000. That was our second deployment. Yeah, there was like a month and a half we didn't get paid.
I think we got paid. I think there was a stir that we weren't going to get paid, but I think we were getting paid.
Yeah, I remember in 2010 I was like, oh, we're really not getting paid.
Oh, so I don't have to go to work today?
Okay.
I guess I'm off today, huh? He's like,
go,
shit. Roger that.
We got to go on mission. Like, what? No.
It's a 13-hour drive today, boys.
What's crazy? I'll share this with you guys because not a lot of people know. The 3rd anniversary of 9/11, just because we're kind of talking about it.
Yeah.
Station New York, Coast Guard Station New York, for about a year prior to that, had coasties basically getting sent there for 24/7 patrols in New York City. And then I got sent there for the 3rd anniversary 9/11 and the RNC with Bush and Kerry. And for 24/7, if you were in New York City, like you'll see blue lights all around the water, and that was us. From the Jersey side to New York side. And we actually had intel that we were supposed to get attacked underwater by submarine.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so they outfitted our small boats with all sorts of crazy shit. I'm this 21, 22-year-old kid with a 50 cal on the small boat. I'm like, well, this is getting crazy.
Let's go.
So I'm like, all right. And between patrols and boardings and SAR cases, and that's when I shut my feelings off. Because you just have to react at that point.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You got nothing to think about. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And I think that was also the time when they were putting boxes under bridges. Remember all that crazy?
Yeah, dude.
shit? So I got paranoid, to say the least.
Yeah,
I got very paranoid for like 3 months. I was down there just at a level 11, like ass pucker. It just, you never knew. And that was like the beginning. Actually, that's probably like the start of where this whole thing like eventually launched 2200 tabs. I would say. But I remember that one sucked. That was hard
Yeah,
on a lot of people.
It's hard to turn that off too, like that, just that what
High
you
alert.
said, you like where I turned up, I just, when you turn it on, you're like, I'm in flat out, I'm trained for this mode, which means for me, it was when we went to the clearing barrels, or not the clearing barrels. So when we started doing when we did our test fires, that's when that's basically when we did the test fires, that test fire was me sending out my mind, like boom, everything, and staying here. And yeah, like it's time to lock in and do
I
the
went
work.
numb after that.
Like you just like,
After
okay,
you're-
like,
kind
dude,
of
like,
numb.
all right.
So numbed out.
Yeah.
And you're scanning
Oh,
fucking
God.
everything without moving your eyes. Like it's one thing that I think I talked about a little bit last week or last episode is like the peripherals never stop scanning. I mean, it can be exhausting too. Like, especially I'm asking my wife, like, did you see this, and this? She's like, no. Who would? Like, well, I guess me, because I'm fucking nuts, or because I just can't turn it off. I mean, it's easier now because it's been so long, but like, I mean, even there's some things. That's one thing for sure that knows. And for me, it's like the hands. So for us, like it was always hands. I'm sure the same to you. It's like if someone's doing something with their hands and you can't see them, it's probably a problem. So it's like I'm always watching people's hands. It's rarely do I make eye contact when we're standing. I'm like, what you got in your hands, but anyways, yeah, it's hard to turn that off.
Yeah, still to this day, I can't go out on a boat and just relax.
Right.
Oh, really?
No, like I if there's beer involved, if there's stupidity involved, I can't allow myself to get on that boat because I will freak out. Unless I'm driving.
Right.
Or I'm with people that know boating safety or get it,
Oh yeah.
If they're going to be safe, if they're going to be jerks about it. I've just heard so much on the radio. I've seen my own fair share. I've lost people. I'm like,
there's some idiots out there.
Come on, dude. There are
people don't even take the time to understand that there's like boating safety courses you can take
for free.
Yeah,
exactly.
Go to the Coast Guard Auxiliary. If you're 12 years old and up, you can take a boating safety course. And please, you can't drive a boat like a car. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, you
cannot
can't.
do that.
No.
And if somebody falls in the water and you turn that boat the wrong way, you are going to chop them up with the props.
Ooh.
So please just take a basic course. You don't have to be, freaking what's his nuts on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, and then understand that there's rules of the water, just like there's rules on the road. As far as like right away is a huge thing. Like if you're on a jet ski and you're seeing like a little boat, like big ass boat, like get out of the way. That big ass boat has the right of way. Also, like split the lake up a little bit. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all things that people don't understand because a lot of times people are just like, "We'll go on the boat. We're getting fucked up," and it's just like, I'm gonna pass.
Dude, we got sucked up under a car carrier.
Jeez.
Our 41-foot Coast Guard boat. We were getting our boarding team off 20 miles offshore. Next thing I know, I'm like seeing the underbelly of this huge ass ship, and I'm like, I'm going to die today.
Well, fuck.
Holy
and I jumped into the pilot house and I just put my head in my hands. I'm like, this is it. We're done. And I heard glass shatter. The guys are screaming, and thankfully we didn't We got out of there, but we jacked up our boat pretty good.
Hey, fuck the boat.
Yeah,
Maybe they got
nobody
more
hurt.
boats. The Coast Guard's got more boats.
Yeah, nobody got hurt, thankfully. But that was dude, everybody's got it. Everybody's got those moments where you're like, dude, am I gonna meet Jesus today? Because that really felt like I was about to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
know
almost
you
start
guys
like
get it.
preparing, like, well, shit.
As
I wasn't
Joe
ready
is
for this
saying.
conversation with Jesus.
Yeah.
But I guess I got. Oh God, I got time to get ready for it.
Dude, that question, James. No, that was actually no. I take it back.
Which one?
We did jam out to that song. I'm on a
Oh.
boat by Step Brothers.
Oh, that's funny.
we used to listen to Roll Out
Yeah.
before mission. Well, we didn't do it on purpose, but our LT used to put it over the net. And he'd be like, "All right, everybody, we're rolling out." And like, twin Glock, old days. We're just like, oh God damn it, roll out! Like, God damn it. Here we go.
We had a master chief that loved Dominic the Donkey.
What?
That Christmas song. If you haven't heard it, just
Don't.
Just listen to it. So we'd be when I was on my buoy tender, when I was on the ship, we were coming into port, just waiting for like a drawbridge to open up our board. Next thing you know is you hear Dominic the Donkey playing throughout the ship, and you're just like, what the fuck? But when you hear the song, it'll make more sense. It's pretty funny.
I'm
It's
gonna
pretty
find
funny.
it.
Pam, so your last 2 years of inactive reserve, I assume you went back to Texas?
No.
Oh, where were you at?
No, I was in Chicago. I finished out my reserve time in Chicago.
Okay. Why Chicago?
And my best friend was in Chicago at the time, and I was stationed in Texas, finishing out active duty. I'm like, let me just do something different. Let's go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Be with her and her family and do something different. And I got my orders, and then I got reactivated active duty summer of 2012 to Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Sheboygan. And yeah, Lake Michigan is vicious. I'll just tell you that. Worst body of water I've ever been on.
Really?
I went airborne and landed on my face one day.
Holy shit.
So I jacked up my neck pretty good. Yeah, Lake Michigan's it's like a washer machine. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just sloppy no matter which way you look at it.
I've heard that.
Yeah, Lake Michigan. Any of those Great Lakes, I'm sure, but that one for sure. So I did 2 years reserve there. Finished out that 1 year in active ready reserve. So just kind of riding the pine really until my contract was done. And that was the beginning of almost the end for me, was that pocket, which again leads up to this whole mission.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. What was that time, that period like, that transition period, or just when you got into that headspace?
Yeah. So I was in Chicago at the time, got reactivated summer of 2012, and I did search and rescue out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And I had a decent, other than like tows here and there, just random, just simple, we call them SAR cases. So search and rescue, right? So if I say SAR for the listeners. And then one day I was on the ready boat crew and we got piped down to the watch room, and we had to get the hell, like we had to go. It was a bright sunny day, but it was sloppy. Lake Michigan, there's break walls, water crashing over break walls. Chief saw 2 teenagers get swept in.
Holy hell.
Yeah, and they were struggling. Thankfully, we were right there. So a couple hundred yards out, we took the boat out, we saved them, came back. Not even an hour later, we get a call in the watch room, sitting in there, and the guy gets a call. He said, hey, there's people in the water. It was what do you say? People in the water in a stroller.
Oh, shit.
That's all we heard. So we hightailed it back to the boat to get on scene. We get on scene. It wasn't a stroller. It's a woman in a wheelchair on the break wall, a woman hanging off the ladder off the break wall. So when you fall in, you climb out.
Yeah.
And they're screaming bloody murder. I could talk about this stuff now. I did between therapy and trying to just work through it.
Of course.
And long story short, this happened on a Friday afternoon. And I'm going to skip a lot of stuff, but if people want to know the details, episode 3 of the podcast, so the 2200 Taps podcast, it's all in there. It's very explicit, very detailed. It's all in there. Long story short,
I'll share the link with that episode when we share this episode too.
Cool. Yeah, and it's my story. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
for
no
sure.
worries.
It's my entire story, dude. And there were 5 people walking on the break wall out to a lighthouse that was there. And this guy wearing fishing waders got swept in from one of the waves. and his buddy jumped in after him. They both go under and don't come up. And the lady in the wheelchair was the mother to that guy in the fishing waders.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So, and then the lady that was trying to save them, who was on the ladder, was the fiance to the guy that jumped in after him. And the sister ran and called us, and that's how all that shit happened. So we get on scene, and they're screaming, whatever. And we're like, how many more people? They're like, 2. We're like, where? They're like, they're under your boat.
Oh my
It's
God.
Yeah. So it's like, so I'm scanning the water. I see something blue, and I'm like, I got something.
Mhm.
And these women are still taking a beating with these waves. And I got the boat hook. I hook it, thinking it's a body, and it was a blue jacket, still zipped up, arm sucked in.
Oh shit.
I'm like, shit. Exactly. So right then, Chief's like, we need to stop. Like, who can we save right now?
Yeah.
And the woman on the ladder. So if the guys were still, if there was a hand, a leg, a foot, or any possibility of being able to rescue somebody in the water, we had to let them go. And Chief ended up basically taking his uniform off. We put him in a surface swimmer harness with a lifeline. He swims out to the lady. You know, he pins her. There's a wall of water. It's just very like shit you see in a movie, but it's just weird, you know? Feels like it's taking 2 hours. It probably took a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
They get back to the boat. We get her on board. She's crying. She's looking off the back end. Me and Chief are like, I'm like, what are they wearing? She's like, so-and-so's wearing a white t-shirt, black jeans, and so-and-so's wearing a blue jacket and fishing waders.
Oh
And
shit.
as soon as she said that, we just looked at each other like, he's fucking done.
Yeah.
You know, they fill up with water. You're just a big anchor. So that was a Friday afternoon. I'm going to kind of skip a lot.
Yeah.
The divers, we had everybody on scene at that point. The divers found her fiance Saturday. And then the divers found the son to that one mother on Sunday. So when we tied up, we had another case. We tied up at the yacht club because that's where Red Cross and everybody was stationed. That's when they got word they found him. So we tied up. They were screaming and crying. And we got word that they found him. So we went back to the station across the street. Like I said, it was right there.
Yeah.
Helped with the body. I stayed with the body until the ME got there to take him away. And, you know, my BM1's like, do y'all need to talk to anybody? Because this is like 48 hours of craziness.
Yeah.
And we're like, no,
Chaos.
we're good. You know, the pride kind of kicks in. We're good. We don't need anything. But man, as soon as I took my gun belt off that night and just decompressed, I didn't want to eat anything. I didn't want to drink anything. And I'm like, something's off. And then the next day we got relieved. I go home to my best friend and her family because I was living with them at the time. Made the mother-son connection and I lost it. I lost it. And I tried so hard not to like, you know, and I the screams, the nightmares, it was bad. It was just really bad. So I was having a hard time trying to tell my best friend and she couldn't understand.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you at least just hug me? And she didn't even want to hug me. So I was breaking down. On top of that, I was hurt with my back and stuff, some medical issues.
Yeah.
And ended up got separated from the Coast Guard, not on my own terms. Shortly after, my grandma was taken from us. I lost my career, basically, is what happened.
Yeah.
With weigh-ins is the caveat there. So I had a back injury. I tried to get a med board to get medically discharged because I just couldn't run anymore. There's a lot of stuff I couldn't do. I went airborne landing on my face. And it was just physically, I was breaking down. And, you know, freaking HS or health services chief at Sector Lake, Michigan wasn't returning emails or phone calls. But I had to get weighed in at the station. And I was like a pound or two over my max. And they're like, you need to lose this weight or you could be subject to discharge. And with my injuries, I couldn't. I don't want to do shit.
Yeah.
And I was probably up about 5 pounds over my max allowable. And that was it. They're like, well, we got to put you in inactive ready reserves because you're no longer fit for duty. And
Damn.
you got to write out the rest of your career until your contract's up, which was a year later.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, here's me. Right after that case, I started college a week later, so I never got help. I went straight to school. I got recalled by my master chief in Chicago to get my ass back because he knew I was not doing good.
Yeah.
He ended up taking me out back with another guy because we're all reservists. They were Chicago police officers. They popped open a 6-pack, or they brought a 6-pack of beer. They're like, drink. I'm like, okay, because that's what we fucking did, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And meanwhile, I'm trying not to lose it because off in the distance in Chicago are the little swimming markers that we had to use to mark the area where the guys fell, and like all this bullshit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had the trauma, I lost my career, and then I had a falling out with my best friend, and then I lost my grandma, and there was like all this shit just piling up.
Jeez.
But when I lost my career for good, I took 5 shots of Crown, and I took a knife to my uniform in front of my best friend, and she saw the whole thing. And she kicked me out of the house. I drove to a hospital, and the social worker is like, "What do you do for a living?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm in the Coast Guard, but I'm not actively drilling right now." She's like, "I would be really careful of what you tell me." So I wanted to tell her, like, I was very like I didn't want to be there. Like I wasn't contemplating suicide, but that was my downfall of like, here we go. So I didn't tell her anything. I just slept it off. I got sober, and the next day I met up with my best friend, and I ended up getting kicked out of the house. Then I ended up becoming homeless at some point. I lost my first civilian job. I lost a few civilian jobs, and it just like I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I had no purpose. I lost my identity. The transition sucked.
Yeah,
they don't get you ready for anything.
Not at all.
I went to the VA in Chicago after my incident, trying to file for disability for all this other shit and PTSD. And I had to sit down in front of the doctor, take this test. And she's like, well, you didn't score high enough, therefore you don't have PTSD. Meanwhile, I was like bawling and crying uncontrollably. And she left me there. She's like, all right, we're done here. I'm like, wow. So yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that's a huge problem that the VA has right now. Well, not right now, just in general. So I'm sorry you went through that.
No, thank you. It was a shit show, and I was by myself because I wasn't talking to my best friend at the time.
Right.
So I didn't have family. Became homeless, living out of my car for about 3 weeks. I went to a VSO. They gave me a voucher to stay at a hotel for 2 weeks. I went one night, and it was like damn near like hookers and blow. I'm like,
really?
nasty ass rooms. I'm like, I am not staying here. I'd rather stay in my car, which I did.
At least you can lock those doors for real.
Yeah, but it sucks when you crack the window and it starts raining on you a little bit.
Yeah, been there too.
I've been there. Yeah.
But I remember I was looking for a job, and I'd be at this one Starbucks every day. And my barista's like, "You're here all the time. What's going on?" And I told her what was going on. She's like, "Let me talk to my husband. Maybe we can bring you in for a little bit." And meanwhile, I'd already filed for disability. I was waiting for all that stuff, and at that point, we're talking almost 2 years later.
Damn.
Like I said, I'm kind of jumping around.
Yeah.
And I ended up picking up a part-time job just so I could shower at a rec center. And my barista came back to me, and she's like, you can come live with us until you get back on your feet. I was like, what? So
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. So I ended up living with them a couple of months, and I remember going to church and kind of testing God. I'm like, if my disability check hits, I will move back to Texas, thinking it's going to take forever.
Bing.
Dude, it hit like the following week with back pay of 2 years. I'm like,
yeah, like look what he just did.
Maybe I should move back to Texas.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I got an opportunity to do a training here in Dallas that helped me save my life.
That is amazing.
The day I graduated that training was the 2-year anniversary of that incident, and it was the day I took suicide off the table.
Hell yeah.
I got very close. I remember crying on the phone to my mom. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I can't do this. I don't want to be here. And I would wish for it. And before I could plan it, before I was like, yes, I'm doing this, I'm going to plan it, we're done.
Yeah.
I got the opportunity to come back to Texas because, like I said, I was in Chicago, and do some hard work, meaning look in the mirror, get called on my shit lovingly, and learn how to have those hard conversations in a safe place.
Yes.
And it's ultimately, and it was the music and the training that helped, in addition to everything else, that helped save my life, which is how 2200 Taps was not born, but that was a big catalyst to why I wanted to do this. So that's that in a nutshell. That's all the craziness. minus the childhood trauma that I went through, which is really, I'm still working on that in therapy.
That's such
That's-
like yeah. It's
That's
a
a
lot
lot
to process.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, that's like such an just like what James said. I mean, I'm still stuck off like I asked God, like, hey, show me what you got, and she sent me this check, and then boom, like, all right, now show me what you got, and then you did it, and that's how a lot of things happen, and a lot of people. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like super faith-based by any means, but I'm also not like closed off to the idea. So I mean, I do believe in God, and I do believe that I mean, he or they put us in places at the right time with the right people for the right reasons, and ultimately, like, putting ourselves, me and KZ, in this situation to do this has put us in some amazing places. And I mean, I'm thankful to even hear that story from you and to have it on for our guests. So I appreciate that. For sure.
You got it. Thank you.
And I did share the link to your third episode in our comments.
Cool.
So whoever is in the comments there, and we'll also share it with our thing as well. But yeah, that's basically what we were saying. Yeah, he said, I'm not religious, but he showed you a path, and they asked you to move in and gave you that nudge. Like, that's he works through people, because he's he's not like a physical being.
Yeah, well, I am a believer, and there are just too many things that have happened in my life for me not to be personally.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of where I'm getting to be at this point. I think, honestly, I'm just like, all right, I just got to pick which church I'm going to wind up going to in this small town for the rest of my life, and just go.
It's more about a relationship than it is religion for me.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I didn't know how to have a relationship with a man per se, because my daddy wasn't there growing up. So it's like, well, he's your father. I'm like, well, God's my father. How do you even have a relationship with a dad? I don't know what the hell that looks like. So there's a lot of growth there too, but it's interesting. But yeah, so that's kind of what led me to everything. And throughout my training, when I got healthier and better, my best friend and I actually reconnected, and we've been closer than ever.
Oh, good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We had to kind of go separate ways to just come back, and we've never fought like we did before that. And if we have issues, we just talk through it. It's a lot healthier, I'll tell you that. And yeah,
talking is great therapy. I mean, that's the best therapy, or one of the best.
Honestly, it's the feeling of being heard too. Something that's huge. You could talk all day until you're blue in the face, but if you don't feel like anyone's listening,
True.
Then it becomes quite taxing, actually. And I've been in that position myself. Just felt like that's where I was at the point in my life where, like, nobody listened. Nobody heard me, and I was just and. I've thought about it myself, and I can't never say that I've attempted it, but I mean, I've definitely, it's crossed my mind a million different, times, but it's definitely one of those things, like you said, like, that shit's off the table now. Like, it's not even an option. It's not even something that's worth considering, because I know that passes the pain on to other people, because that's ultimately what brought us here. I mean, I tear up every time I think about him, but it's like one of our best friends committed suicide, and we decided that was going to be the last one of our brothers, particularly that don't feel like we were there, or whatever. And I think it just turned into like, well, why not just as many people as we possibly can?
Yeah. Excuse me. And and I still talk about it on the show, even with my guests, like, although it's off the table, that thought never goes away from me. Meaning it came up yesterday, just randomly. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And when I've talked to some guests that have struggled through that or attempted and survived, and we talk about it, they're like, yeah, I have the same thing too. So
and you got to talk back to it. You gotta listen to what it's trying to tell you, that you're uncomfortable with something.
There's something.
And you just got to figure out what it is. I heard something on a podcast today, and it's like anger isn't, and then that's what I would just equate that feeling of being angry at myself enough to do that if I were to go. But like anger isn't something that's happening to you in a sense. It's actually something that's happening for you, by you. So if that makes sense, anger is like a defense for sure. So it's not like, I don't know, like somebody doesn't put anger in you. I don't know necessarily where I was going with that anymore, but you know what I mean.
and just like on the psychology aspect, right? If we want to talk about that, it's like anger is that secondary emotion. What's driving that? What's underneath it? Well, I'm hurt. I'm sad. I feel worthless. I feel okay. All that shit right there is driving you to that next step, which is anger.
Yeah.
And when you can kind of understand that, you can almost start to control like how you're showing up. But you got to do the work. You can't just be like,
every day. That's the biggest thing. It's continual growth, and if you stop watering that garden will definitely dry up.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. That's probably the first time I've heard someone else say that. Because I did. I mean, I almost took that step 2 years ago. But it still comes up in my head. At least like every other day. And then my wife and I actually talked about it, and I didn't mean to scare her, but we had a conversation after. But she was like how do you like what's wrong with you? How do you feel? I was like, I feel like I felt that night when I was at the park with a knife in my hand. And she was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, I don't know. I have no clue, but that's how I feel. She's like, you think about this often? I was like, yes, I do.
Sometimes.
And it's like, yeah, but that was I'm glad you said that, because now I don't feel so shitty. But because it does pop up in my head more times than I don't want it to. But like you guys said, it's probably because of a situation that I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the hospital getting an MRI, and it popped in my head. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's just so random, But I feel like if we're gonna be honest and talk about shit, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, in a safe place, because no one's gonna judge you, dude. Like, we're all trying to like survive on this mud ball that we call Earth, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's ultimately, it's just so crazy because we just got done talking about how God puts us in certain places, but like today, I won't say the podcast because I'm actually a little upset at how it went out, but this thing was called, it's like this mastermind that they have, right? And and you can apply to be in their mastermind, and they interview you to be in their mastermind, and you spit them 30 minutes of your background and basically have a therapy session with this coach. And at the end of it, he says, you know what, we accept you. We think you could be great, not only as an addition to our mastermind for learning, but also from your background. We think you'd be great. For this, it's $500 plus $90 a month.
He didn't tell me the $90 a month thing.
Right. So you had me 100%. I'm like, fuck yes, I'm all in. $500? Wait a minute now. Like, no, I get that information isn't free when somebody's making it, right? But it's not like I don't have a computer, right? And it's not like we don't have these resources and these people. And it was for like a dad group, so it's like for men being better men and stuff like that. But like me, what I took from that was like, fuck that. I want to start my own mastermind. I want to kind of do the same kind of thing, but not for money. And start it with make 10 to 12 people who want to just be better. And like what you just said, like to be able to be called on their bullshit, to be able to be held accountable for things that they may or may not be doing in their lives, that they have already told us that they want to do differently. Yeah. Like, fuck, man, I haven't done this. Like, well, dude, you got, like, if that's part of your core values and that's what you want, then you need to get off your ass and go do it. Yeah. Not just like a conversation like, hey, how's your life? Oh, it's good. Okay, cool. Like, okay, well, I checked on Pam today, so she's good, and that, it's way more than that.
It's way more than that. And I'll be honest. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's what I'm trying to do right now. I got 3 people. So if you want to get in on it, you're more than welcome.
Let's talk. Do you got to be a dude? Because
no, that's why I'm going to switch it at the end. It's like, it doesn't have to be a dude, because it can just be I think in this case, this first 10 to 12 should be at least veterans who have, because I think we'll be very like-minded. And if it turns into something that we all enjoy and get something from, then all 10 of us can turn around and start a group, a subgroup, again, for free, invite only. So it doesn't get like, like we pick our tribe because it's like, you know what, like you look like you would fit into our tribe, like, and you feel, and that's what I'm saying to you right now, is like, you feel like you would fit in that tribe 100%, because, just to what you said, like being able to be held accountable is so huge. And being able to sit down with yourself and to say the things that nobody else is really has the balls to say to you, like, you're fucking up right now, dude. You're not living up to your full potential as a person, or, as a parent, as a spouse, as a whatever,
Yeah.
So I think ultimately that's where I would like to go with that whole shit in the future. But
Well, I'd love to be a part of that. That's for sure. Let me know what
sweet.
that looks like, and we can totally do that.
We got 4.
Well, the thing is too, is like we host podcasts, some pretty cool podcasts. We're the ones asking the questions. We're the ones, like with our show more specifically, get people a safe place, talk about hard shit. Because somebody needs to hear it. Not so much hard shit, but their traumas and tragedies, but how they've been able to overcome it, because somebody needs to hear that.
Exactly.
So if I'm going to give people that platform to do it, then my ass needs to be willing to do it myself.
Yeah.
Which is why episode 3, I had a friend come in to interview me, because I'm not going to take you where I'm not willing to go.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what good leaders do.
That's what KZ says a lot on here. Says a lot. Yeah. Just that leadership is, willing to go to places that, I'm not going to ask you to do something I won't do.
Right.
Yeah. That's what we had. That's why we had my wife on the other day, just because, we want to open the doors. We've opened the doors, obviously, to all veterans, and then anyone else who, wants to talk about mental health, and then, first responders. And then we talked about, military or veteran spouses. I was like, yeah, we should do that. But if we're going to do that, I need to get my wife on, because I'm not asking anyone else's wife if I can't ask my own. So yeah, I definitely stand in line with that mentality.
Good approach.
Yeah. I don't want to go back too far, but when you brought up that moment during your transition time period, was it the disability check and that kind of like everything lining up? Is that what stopped you from making a plan, or what was that thought process like?
No. Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I follow a lady on FaceBase. She's a pretty well-known like health and wellness coach, this, that, and the other. It's always about health and wellness and nothing else. Well, this one particular night, all she posted was every day 22 veterans commit suicide. And I'm like, well, I get that, because I might be one of them very soon. And then she followed up saying, if you're a veteran and you want something different, I've got something for you. That's all she said.
Yeah.
So I messaged her, and she's like, hey, I've got a training here in Dallas. If you get down here, I just come for one weekend to see what it's like.
Yeah.
And I had enough money saved up where I can fly down to Dallas and give myself a shot. And I needed to come back a few days later, like a couple days later, for another part of the training that was like $1,200. I'm like, I can't do this. I got $1,200 for me. And one of my classmates gave me money for almost the entire freaking training.
Holy shit.
He heard my story. He heard me talking, and he's like, you need to be here. Okay. So that was the beginning of it all. And I was still like struggling with the job. I didn't have my check yet. Like I was still trying to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
And then the check came later. And then I moved back here to Texas with my parents and trying to get on my feet. And and then I kept losing jobs. I kept getting fired. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like I have an honorable discharge. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I behaved. And here I am getting fired from all my civilian jobs. I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. Which is why I went to school for music, which ultimately led to 2200 Taps, the whole creation of it.
Before we go into that, I do want to take a couple seconds to thank our sponsor.
Yeah.
So this episode is also sponsored by Tejas Fabrication in Elkmont, Alabama. You guys may remember Will Putnam. He was an earlier guest on our show. He will actually be our next guest on our show as well. So if you don't remember, Tejas Fabrication, they specialize in custom sheet metal work, restorations, custom suspension, engine swaps, and everything else in between. Follow them on Facebook, shoot them an email, tejasfabrication@gmail.com. Give them a call, 256-701-4873. Boom.
Nice job.
Moving forward. Yeah, Will is an awesome dude. He so he's originally from Texas, so I know you picked up on the name Tejas Fabrication. So
the
Texas roots run deep in there too. So he was one of our earlier guests as well. And he's actually he bought 6 patches this morning.
Did he really?
Yeah.
What a dude.
6 patches. Walker got a couple too. So we got some custom leather patches just made up.
I saw that. I actually want to reach out to those guys. We've never had a sponsor on our show, just so you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to freaking do it, but I saw your leather patches and I love leather.
Yeah.
I go to Buc-ee's to get my leather incense. And right?
Dude, I'm telling you, these things actually smell. I don't have them. I should have brought them down here, but they actually smell like they're legit leather.
Good.
God, I love
and
Buc-ee's.
dude, Trevor will take care of you. Tell him that you heard of him here, and he'll take, because he was real excited. I know he wasn't a veteran himself, but I know he did tell me a story when we were chatting a little bit, that one of his really good friends from like when he grew up did join the military and didn't come back. And then he wound up like writing him a song. And I mean, it was like a huge part of his life. So, and then, I mean, he wasn't one of those guys like I would have joined, but I thought it was, I thought it was great for him to share that with me. And, he's also part of that tribe as well. And I don't think that mastermind if he wants to be, but definitely part of like our tribe where it comes to like, we got him, he's got us. So definitely hit him up because they'll take care of you on those patches. And let me know if you want one of ours. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'd love a sample, please.
Yeah.
Can you get a sample before order?
$5.
$5. Done.
No, that's what I'm selling. We're selling them with $6 and 2 for $10. So they're just the little 2-inch 3M back. You could stick them on pretty much anything.
That's awesome.
Pretty dope, dude. And then they actually made us these shirts too.
Yeah, I need to talk to these guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Yes. Everything, hats. We're gonna have to do some hats soon. Yeah. Cool. But anyways, yeah. So let's get into. So you said music, and music is what brought you to 2200 Taps. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, music saved my life, even when I was a little kid. Music, I'd isolate to the room, grew up in a very chaotic home, and I forced myself how to play guitar, like listening to music. So I don't read music. I can hear it. I play by ear.
What?
Yeah. So, because I had to force myself to learn because it was so violent in the house, growing up, the screaming and the yelling. And so I forced myself to do it, and now I can play by ear, and I love it. So the guitar is my saving grace. Well, again, it's all in that episode. It's really cool. But yeah, so I got fired from one of my jobs in 2018. This one wasn't my fault. There was one for sure I should not have been there, but this one was not. And I say that. Even my HR was like, listen, I'm going to cover for you for the next month or so. Go figure out what you want to do, and I will try to extend you staying here a little longer for another paycheck.
Dang.
And she did, and I was in Austin. So I Googled music school in Dallas because I wanted to come back up to Dallas. I used to live here before.
Yeah.
And I saw a school in VFW. I'm like, done. Post 9/11 bill. Let's go. And in part of the music school, the recording arts for audio engineering, actually, I had to take a music business class. And a good friend of mine, she used to teach it, had to do a couple of semesters. And part of it was finding our brand. And I'm like, I don't know what my brand is, dude. I'm just here for music. And part of it was having to go back to the childhood and like try to figure out what made you who you are. And that's all in episode 3, guys. It's really cool. And my biological dad, who's more out of my life than in, horrible, just I have no relationship with him. He actually introduced me to the guitar when I was 3.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I'm like, so you're telling me the guy that hated me, he wanted me aborted when he found out my mom was pregnant, and she said no. But to
How
each
did
his
you
own.
find that out?
I had a falling out. I had a falling
It's
out
like,
with
did he
him when I
say
was.
that to you?
You got to go listen to episode 3. No.
Jeez, I will after this. I'm going to. For
Yeah,
sure.
no, he and I had a falling out when I was about 14 because he was kind of more out than in. He was he was actually in the army, believe it or not.
Damn
He was
it.
a captain, 5 years. And womanizer, just not a good example of a healthy dad for me. And we got into it when I was about 14, and that was like the first thought of suicide. And I started cutting myself, and I started talking to my mom about him and just all like, what is his deal? And she's like, do you want me to be honest with you? Basically, I'm like, I want to know everything about this asshole.
Yeah.
And she told me, she's like, he wanted her to abort the pregnancy, but her and my grandmother said no. There's so much more to that, I promise.
Oh, I bet.
And when I found out in music business, when I was doing the branding thing, I'm like, so you're telling me the guy that wanted me dead ultimately saved my life with this guitar? You know, and I'm like, this is a mind fuck. I'm like, how does this work? So I had a little bit of a breakdown in class. Thankfully, my instructor at the time, who's, like I said, a good friend of mine, she handled it with grace and helped me navigate it. And the story I shared early on about my struggles with the transition and everything, and people I'm just connected to. And I've lost so many fucking people to suicide. We just lost another one recently, Army vet. I'm like, I am so tired of this shit. A lot of it was like 2,200 tabs. And the whole reason for that, and it's all together if you look at it. So 22, because we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, if not more now. The zeros, because that's our goal, is to get to 0, and taps on are the ones that we've lost and continue to lose. So it made sense.
Yeah.
And being a musician, guitarist, I wanted to put music to people's stories. But before that took off, I was a guest on a podcast similar to this.
Yeah.
And I was like, there is no way it's that easy to run a podcast. And the host was like, actually, it kind of is.
Yeah.
It pretty much is. Once you set everything in stone and kind of get your ways set, and then you get your niche, and you just fucking go. And really, it's all about networking with podcasts, and that's what I really like. As you know, because like now, like hopefully we'll be on yours as well, and cross those platforms and cross those listeners and exposing our listeners to your podcast and vice versa. Because I mean, our goal isn't to be like, we're the only podcast out here doing mental health and we're the best one.
So many.
Like, because fuck that. Yeah, there's so many. And we ultimately would love to get all of them on, especially if they're veteran based, because that's what we do here. As many resources as we can expose to the world.
Yeah.
And just as many places as we could just say, hey, you're not fucking alone today. You have this chance to come sit with us and watch this show and comment and be a part of this show, even though, you know, he was on the show and he will be on the show again. And that, you know, this Boughton's KZ's mother-in-law was on here earlier. I mean, like, this is like, you know, this is family. It's all family. Like, she's still watching. Yeah, we got 2. It's Alder and Mindy. Nice. So yeah, I mean, like, it's, you know, it's just a huge, I don't know where, I forgot where I was going with that when he said she's still on, but you know, we do it for the love of it, and it is that easy. That's what it was.
Yeah. So it was,
when you enjoy it, it is.
It's easy, but here's what a lot of people don't know until you do it for a while. It really takes passion and purpose to sustain the longevity of a show. Because there's days I'm like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. Like, just this and finding the guests and like all the logistics. Like, I need a freaking team.
Yeah.
But if you push through and you keep going, you will have that longevity that a lot of shows fall off. You see, I want to start a podcast, cool, but then they only have a few shows.
Yep.
When you realize how much work goes into this shit.
Yes.
And there's a lot of work.
And the social media and the this and that. Like,
Yes,
luckily we
promoting
split everything pretty well. He handles a lot of, like, he makes the reels and does a lot of,
Nice.
like, he does all the TikTok and the social media mostly. I do I post some stuff and try to handle, like, trying to find guests.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, when I post in different groups and try to get people on, that's big. I need to start doing that more. But I mean, it's all about that collaboration, and that's why I think podcasting is awesome. We were on someone's show a while back, and he said, basically, we were at like show 15 or 16 at that point, and I think this is only 28 or 29. So I mean, like, basically, like you said, like, people they think that they're gonna get 1,000 downloads off the first rip. Like, it don't work like that. And like, I was pretty, like, I was realistic, and I was like, if we got 10, and that's a real thing that I said, I was like, I'll be shocked if we get 10 fucking downloads on our first episode.
Dude.
And you remember our first episode, fucking, I think it sucked, but like, it was, like, we got people listened, and we made it a little more. We tweaked it every episode. We've made it a little better. We've adjusted fire, which is a huge thing we started talking about. And it's just becoming like second nature at this point. Like, you saw how much preparation went into this episode, and we just sat down and talked 5 minutes before we got on. We're like, all right, let's fucking kill this thing, and I love it.
Dude, wait till you cross the pond. You're gonna be shitting your pants when you're like, I have a listener like in Europe. I have a listener where? It's the coolest. It's so cool. It's super cool.
Yeah, especially when you see them like repeatedly every week. Like, oh, they're listening.
They're actually
like,
listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's ultimately what started the whole 2200 Taps thing, and that the podcast took off faster than the music. So when you started podcasting, you guessed, right? So I was like, hey, where are my friends? Where are my family members that want to come on? And I've had my mom on. I've had my best friend on. And the thing is, it's not serious every time. I have to have funny episodes because it's so hard, this content sometimes.
So we call those turret talks. So we like to have those, and we call them turret talks. And what we do is we post the link in the comments that people can join in this call, and we just shoot the shit. And then we used to talk about it every other Friday.
Like
we literally just talk about whatever.
But like you said, like, that's, you kind of need that kind of.
And
when you do this stuff as a hobby, like, you need that day. Yeah.
I had back-to-back interviews Saturday, Sunday with two friends. Oh my God, I got so tipped over. Well, my one friend, Amy, she shared her husband killed himself in front of her. And she's very like explicit. And then the next day was my friend Marcy, and and these stories are just like a 1-2 gut punch that I should not have done.
Yeah, you're like, I should have spread these out by like a month or something.
Well, that's what we do now. I do 1 episode a month.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm like,
yeah, I think we need to start maybe doing 1 a week, but I mean, like, we do 2 a week. I mean, when we first started, we were like, let's do them every night, and we did. Like, my wife was like, do you fucking live here anymore? Because like, you're downstairs doing a podcast every night, and like, we were like, okay, we need to adjust fire.
I was just thinking.
I saw that earlier.
And then so we started doing them 2 nights a week, and then now I think even that's gonna get too much. I mean, I don't know, not too much. I like it 2 nights a week because we might switch to having like us 2 nights a week, and then or us 1 night a week, and then a guest 1 night a week.
Yeah,
because we're reliant on guests in the beginning, I feel like. And then like now we're like finding our stride. It's just like making content together, and it's been fun. But
yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, we can get creative. I finally had my first 10-year-old on recently. So I had to get permission, and that's recorded and covered, but I had the dad on, and then the next episode was the wife and the son.
Oh, I saw that.
It was the perfect, it was like the perfect marriage of that family story.
That's cool.
So it's just, I mean, you guys know, like, sometimes you're like, how do I want to do this? Or how are we going to do this? And it just kind of just happens. It's really cool.
We, the one thing we like, that I found kind of like, we started the whole podcast that idea got kicked around in like a group chat. And then we finally, like, I was finally like, hey, fuck it, let's do it. And so we just did it. And then Well, I was talking to my wife about it, like before we started the mission, like what we're doing, the purpose, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And my wife, she was like, I love you, but you're gonna go talk to people, and they're gonna open themselves up to you. And she's like, "Are you ready for that?" I was like, "Good point." Mentally, I
Yeah.
have my off days, and then here I am asking people to share their stories.
Yeah.
Do you like? And my whole point of this is the question. Talking with like 20 people now, it's actually helped me. And I think Kyle can say the same thing. Like these conversations, I hope they're helping at least one person that's watching or listening.
Yeah.
But they help me tremendously. Like my boot is full after every episode, because I'm just like, it's like, damn, that was that was shitty. Like I hate that happened to that person, but fuck, their story was cool as fuck.
And they shared it with us.
Yeah, they shared it with me. That makes me feel good. What they did there during that situation or during that transition, that was I didn't think about doing that. I'm gonna start implementing those things in my life too. You find that stuff when you're talking to people?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I'll even like go back and listen to episodes when I'm in a funk. And those stories just help me again. It's kind of like full circle moment.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing about doing this, I think, is that it's helping.
They're there. And that's cool. Is like it's there forever.
Like as long as
10
you're
years
paying
from
your
now,
fees.
Yeah, that's another thing. Is like, there's so many different ways to do it too. Like, I mean, when it's like, well, get a Buzzsprout, then you get a StreamYard, then you get this, and it's like, fuck, like now I'm paying. Well, shit, I did this. Oh yeah, co-host AI on Buzzsprout. I tried it out, so it like pre-types all our descriptions of the podcast, like when we post it. So I'm like, hell yeah, saves me hours of typing.
Man, and it's so funny because
I'm terrible at it.
It's like you go back and listen to the episodes, and that just like fills your bucket, right?
Yeah.
But Kyle, you said something earlier about Tribe, and I'm in Dallas, DFW. So if y'all aren't familiar, it's one of the biggest hubs for veteran nonprofits. So like One Tribe Foundation's here, who used to be 22 Kill, who founded the 22 Push-Up Challenge.
Yeah, okay.
You got Light Up to Live. You got Carry the Load, which is a huge thing around Memorial Day too. The Adaptive Training Foundation, which I'm super proud. That's my tribe right there, the Adaptive Training Foundation. It's a gym for disabled veterans and civilians, whether you're born with one or not. And I'm going to put a plug in them in for them. Is that cool?
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
So the Adaptive Training Foundation was founded by, you guys watch football?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2008 NFL draft. The last pick of the NFL draft, Mr. Irrelevant, was David Vibora.
Okay.
And he was the last pick for the Rams. He ended up starting his rookie season and the remaining 4 or 5 seasons that he had under his belt. Career-ending football shoulder injury. He had to retire. Got addicted to painkillers, opioids, ended up having to go to rehab, like all this crazy shit. Well, he had got cleaned. He had moved to Dallas, opened up a gym for elite athletes, Olympians and such. Went to a Christmas party, and you guys might know this name. In walks Staff Sergeant Travis Mills, one of 5 quadruple amputees from the war.
Yeah.
But if you ask David, and when he saw him at the Christmas party, he says it was like the hot chick at the bar, because he had to make like a beeline to him and be like, yo, bro, like, when's the last time you worked out? And he's like, dude, I don't make you feel like an asshole, but I don't have arms or legs. He's like, that's cool, dude. Like, what are you afraid of? He's like, well, gravity, dude, like falling. I've got appendages. So together they started working out and ultimately found different methods to just, get somebody who has no arms or legs or of a horrible disability or some that you can't see to get better. And that happened in 2000. He started in 2014. And here we are almost 10 years later. The gym is blowing up here in Dallas. And that's where I met my friends this office is. They're Adaptive Training Foundation athletes.
That's cool.
Her husband, Vanessa's husband, Derek, he's a retired combat engineer, got blown up. So we got a bunch of those stories. We've lost so many people to illnesses, suicide, all this shit. And what's crazy is, or beautiful about our community, like you said, Kyle, that tribe,
Mhm.
Like, dude, you see people learn how to walk again where the doctors are like, you'll never walk. You'll never do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, all right, mother trucker.
Yeah.
Let's go. So that's
Yeah.
that mentality of the gym. But when we go through this shit where we lose people, like David, the founder, he feels it. David knows the stories. He actually genuinely gives a shit about us and the program. And it's just a beautiful mission. And I
Yeah.
would encourage anybody, veteran, civilian, whoever, doesn't matter, go check them out on social media. Instagram, their website, adaptivetrainingfoundation.org, or go to my website, 2200taps.com. I have a section for nonprofits that have been vetted and that I'm personally connected with,
Yeah.
that we keep up to date. And if for some reason one of them burns me and I have to be like part ways, then I take them off the website.
Sweet.
So they're pretty rad. But yeah, not to go, too far sideways. I had to do it, man, because that tribe
Oh yeah.
they're the ones that have really like breathed new life into me the past couple of years. And I can't get enough.
Aldo, you're in that area, dude. Go get after it. Go help.
Come on, dude.
Go do some work. And he's in Dallas. Yeah, you're in Dallas.
Yeah,
Dude,
he's
get
in
after it.
He said
Get after it.
mesquite. Yeah. Shoot, let's go get a beer or something. Or
There we go.
or chocolate milk if you don't drink. It's cool.
Right.
Cool with that.
Can I get him some warm milk, please? Thank you.
Some diet water. It's all good.
Yeah. It's our anniversary. She'll have a water, please.
Diet water, please.
Dang, that's
My internet's been
so dope.
super slow. Otherwise, I would have all these links pulled up, but I can't pull up shit.
I'm gonna see if I can't pull them up.
You might be able to screen share it or present. I don't know what it looks like on the other side of this app. I have like the producer control. I can do stuff like this. All right, I'll stop.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I found their website.
Which one?
You
Go
did?
ahead.
Yeah,
Can you share it?
yeah. I'll put it on the banner.
Banner.
I'm trying to get it right now.
Banner. Boom.
There we go. We got some stuff coming. Their Instagram's pretty rad, actually. So I'll get their Instagram.
Milkshake, he said. Carrington, what's up, brother? Good to see you, my man.
Heck yeah. Let me get you on.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
hot out.
Milkshakes, please.
Dude, it is hot out.
Oh, he wants okay. Well, because
The,
I was surprised Alder hasn't said anything about me not having a beard yet.
I saw that on the promo. You have like this thick ass beard. What happened?
I had a job interview yesterday, and I wanted to be as professional as possible. Wait, was that yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. So now I'm in the it was a real job. So it's not like one of those we hire you on the spot type thing.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting right now. I'm in that did I make it phase? Am I good enough? So I'm fighting some mental demons and climbing some mental hills in my sleep right now. Well, if I do sleep, I'm definitely nervous because I want this one.
Hey, let me ask you, since you're talking about sleep, just out of curiosity, my sleep is horrible. Are you guys light sleepers? Like super light sleepers?
I'm hard to get to sleep, but once I'm out, I'm out. And I also the medications I take they make me sleepy, so I take them at night. That also helps me fall asleep. You look like a teen, and I hate you. I'm actually 37. But no, shit. Oh, I forgot what we were talking about.
Are you a light sleeper?
No.
You take melatonin.
No, I get super baked before I go to bed too. Like really high. Like fucking spaceship stoned. So
I just started doing that. Well, not getting spaceship stoned, but
the edibles.
Yeah, I started with the edibles.
Same.
Edibles have helped me out like tremendously.
Yep.
Almost a little too good.
He
like,
went from not even doing anything, and I told him like he does Delta 8 edibles, and that's why I told him like you can order them online and have them sent to your house. You don't have to worry about shit. They're illegal everywhere, and yeah, they're just as good, I think.
Mhm.
They're not overpoweringly strong unless you get them. You could get the super powered ones. Beards are overrated.
Unless you take two and you're not real and you're like new, like my dumbass.
Isn't it a German thing not to be able to really grow much facial hair? I know my dad's got a lot of German in him, so I don't have a lot of body hair, but I can grow a beard.
I can't grow one to
It's
save my
actually
life.
kind of nice.
You I keep looking at this note because I
No, I
circled
can't
it.
grow a beard. If
No.
that's what you're gonna ask.
Damn it! Let me cross that off. No, I have this note circled just because, and I keep looking at it just because I'm a little jealous. You self-taught. How long did it take to self-teach yourself the guitar?
Dude, I was 5. I don't remember.
Dang.
I was 5. Okay, so I remember this one time, and I learned it very fast. So horror story when it came to the guitar and my first heartbreak. Let me just preface this. My grandma got me a guitar from Mexico, like the Sunburst, like black and brown. I wanted a black guitar, not that color. So I grabbed my grandpa's shoe polish. Thank you, World War II Korean War veteran, Grandpa. I smeared it all over the guitar, front and back. I got my black guitar. My grandma got pissed. My Mexican grandma. You can imagine that.
Did you get hit with a chancla?
I got not that day, but I got the chancla, the fly swatter. I got everything. But she told me to go wash it off. She's like, go to the bathtub, go wash it off right now. I'm 5. You'd think she would teach me how to do this shit. So what do? I draw it like a hot ass bath. And I soak it and I'm all proud. I'm cleaning it, put it in the garage for it to dry, come back out later and it's like in a million pieces because it's a wooden guitar.
Oh, fuck.
And yeah, the 5 years old. And may have been the first time I actually said that F word, actually. And it was like heartbroken. And my grandpa, they got me another guitar and he said, if you can learn a song on the guitar, I'll buy you a brand new guitar. So I learned Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Nailed it.
Like so fast because it's like going up and down the scale. I'm like, this sounds like it. And before I knew it, I was kind of the whole ear thing, dude. It was just cool. And I've always loved music ever since. So it's kind of my DNA. My biological dad, he's a guitarist, and my mom is a singer. So I have music in the blood at some point or somewhere. And it speaks to me like nobody else, man. So yeah.
That's a cool thing to like be able to hear and play something. My grandparents were they're gifted like that. Like they could play any instrument they picked up, but eventually within the church, like, because they were from the islands, and so every island that in the Federated States of Micronesia has a different dialect. So obviously all their hymns are different.
Yeah.
So my grandparents had to like travel from island to island, and they would translate. They would hear the music, and then they would write down the notes and then translate into another language entirely.
Dude, that's rad.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
That's
and
so
over
cool.
here, I didn't get that trick. Like I had to be forced, like me, I learned. I had to be forced to. I was forced to learn how to play the violin, and so like I had to learn to read music, and that was horrible. Now I can read music, but and I'm seeing my daughter's doing the same thing. She's learning the violin, and she's like reading the music.
Dude,
like, is that easy for you? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, I hate you.
I can't read music. Like that scene in the Goonies where Andy has to like play the piano.
Oh yeah,
we would all die. We'd all be dead. I'd be like, we're screwed, dude. I can't.
If I get the wrong key again, we'll all be flat. Fucking good one.
That was good.
And to switch back gears a little bit here on your, because you talk to all these awesome people, and have their stories.
Yeah.
What given your history and like how you've with the separation, homelessness, the problems with the VA and stuff like that, that makes it a very tough time for transition. What would be the biggest key tip advice? I always fuck this up. What would be the biggest what would be your advice to those transitioning right now?
Fucking nailed it.
Thank you. Like, what's one of the biggest tips of advice you could give anybody, if you had any?
Dude, check your ego at the door.
Ooh, I like that.
Huge. That's a good one. I haven't heard that one yet.
because
That's true.
our pride gets in the way. We don't want to ask for help. We're this, we're that. We veterans. It doesn't matter. Like, dude, check your ego at the door, because at the end of the day, you're gonna need help, because no one's gonna. I was talking to a friend of mine recently who does financials. She's like, you could have switched over your life insurance to do this, and you could have done this with your money before you got out. I'm like, what? I'm like, they don't teach us this shit. They give us 4 days of taps, shove everything down our throats, and expect us to remember the shit.
Dang.
Even then, So be proactive. Make a copy of your freaking medical records.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Make a copy.
Leave
Please
with
make
all
a
your
copy.
shit.
Hey, I just got mine. I just got mine in the mail. I finally got mine in the mail after like 6 months.
There you go.
I literally got it last week.
And if you're separating, dude, get in and go get evaluated for your claims now. Because the closer you are to if you do it now before you separate, they can't come back and be like, well, you've been out for so long and we don't know if that was service connected or not. Bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Get it done as quickly as possible. Hit us up, hit our resources up. Be ready to fight the VA with I feel like that's the battle they actually get us ready for. I really do, because it's such a shit.
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. I actually had a couple months ago, I've been trying to get community care, and they're running me in circles, and I had a meltdown, and before I knew it, I had people coming in to check on me. They wanted me to talk to so-and-so. I'm like, somebody picked up the phone and they're like, is she suicidal? And they're like, are you suicidal? I'm like, I'm not answering your fucking question. I was so pissed, dude. Because I was a year trying to get my knee checked by a real doctor. And that incident actually got me what I needed, unfortunately, but it just sucks that it had to get to that point. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
The running in circles bullshit is.
I think I got to that point too. At one point, like when I was trying to get everything and I was making so many phone calls, and I think at one point I got to a voicemail, and I just because I still wasn't taking any medication, and I was just, oh my God, like I was like a 12 when I'm just screaming into my phone, like, you motherfuckers wonder why veterans are offing themselves in record fucking numbers. It's because nobody can get a solid fucking answer from anybody in this entire establishment. Everybody's on lunch. Everybody's going part-time. I just personally, recently, I've had my same doctor for 2 years since I moved here. Been awesome. Just the other day, I got a phone call that I don't have the same doctor anymore. I have to restart everything.
Yeah,
that happened.
I'm pissed, dude. I'm not fucking doing it
after.
again.
That happened the day after I enrolled at the VA. They're like, hey, by the way, you need to come back in and do another like physical assessment. I was like, what the fuck?
Dude, I had a therapist. I had a civilian therapist that the VA sent me to that I actually liked.
Yeah.
And we're doing good work. I was making progress. And then come January 1st of like 2020 something, she's like, hey, I can't see you anymore because the VA updated paperwork that kicked me out of network. I'm like, what? So then I try to like manage, and VA is like, you need to tell her this. I'm like, no, you need to. I'm getting out of it.
You need to tell her what?
Yeah, like, well, you need. I'm like, so they finally get her back after months of fighting. Believe it or not, I wasn't the only one. They get her back in network, and I try to make an appointment, and she said, I'm sorry, I'm not taking veterans anymore because the VA is not paying me.
What the fuck?
Right. So I've been through so many therapists, and I'm just like, I am so tired of this shit. And it's, so James, I see your question, or I see your statement.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up when we had a chance here. I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
He says, I don't think mine was ego. He more felt like that I shouldn't need to ask for help. And I guess, I wonder.
I was kind of like that. Like, I don't need to ask for help. Like,
It was a pride thing, and for me, it was like, it depends on like the help we're talking about. Well, if we're talking about like the mental health, like I didn't think I needed it until recently. Now I'm like, fuck, I needed that shit a long time ago. But I'm also a very firm believer in like, without all those oopses, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, and where I'm at today is somewhere I never thought I'd ever be. Happy, healthy with a baby. Happy marriage, good life. And it comes from, like you said, like, it sucks when you're sleeping in the car and the window's open and you're fucking getting rained on. Like, yeah, I fucking know what that's like, but you know, it's nice to be on the other side of that
Yeah.
too. And
Did that stuff make y'all mad? It made me mad. Like when it came
What's
to
that?
getting help for mental health. Like I don't know what made me more mad. My wife, you know, asking me to go get it done, or just finding out like, you know, living in San Antonio, Texas, is military city. You know, like, and just finding out like, oh, you know, this guy's being seen for, oh, this guy has PTSD. That's, I don't know why. It used to, not anymore, but like initially after transitioning, that used to piss me off. Like I'm not doing that. Like what? Like don't play with the fucking system like that. You're fine. I'm
well,
fine.
you
You're fine.
also, I mean, we'll revert back to our platoon sergeant and the way, and well, just the way that they adapted us to be like, you know, if you're not hurt, just you know, put some dirt on it and drive on. Like that's that's why we're here. You know, that's the stigma that we're trying to erase. I mean, we've all fell victim to it at some point. I ain't killing yourselves for pussies, but then at the same time you're like, oh, I was almost a pussy one night then, you know, like, and that was the pure, and that's the truth of it. And it's not, I think it's a stronger move than people think, but it's not a move that needs to be done. I actually think it's, I don't know, I would say it's probably harder to do that than it is to put in the work. I think for me, it would be harder to do that. Ultimately,
To do what?
To kill
Exactly.
myself.
Hmm.
Like it would be harder to actually do that than like for me, like putting in the work to be a better person is like, it's sure it'll be hard and it's going to be long and it's going to be exhausting, but it's going to be something to do. That's an investment in my future, an investment in my family's future. And I think, I don't know if that made sense like I wanted it to, but I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I'm not taking the easy way by living. I don't know. I guess that's kind of a stupid way to put it, but
it's a perspective for sure. I mean, because like when I was down that road, like thinking about like I shouldn't be doing this, but then like thinking down the road and seeing like I need to go talk to somebody. I need to make a phone call. I need to make a car drive. I need to make an appointment. Like all that stuff. Like I need to sit down and actually like vent this stuff out. That just seems so exhausting to do at the time. And then what helped me out the most was like talking to my wife and just like, you know, don't worry about that. Don't let's not worry about that right now, because that's stressing you out, and that looks like a never. Let's not worry about that. Let's worry about like right now. Like let's worry about today. One foot in front of the other until you're tired, go to sleep, and we'll wake up, then we worry about tomorrow. But like that's I see your perspective, but that's like I've been on that road and like thinking about that all that hard work, like that is what you should do. But when you're in that mindset, it's like that shit is exhausting. I don't want to fucking do that. I would rather end my life right now than attempt to even go down that road.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that, I don't know. I guess I might have said it wrong too, but I don't know. We'll just re-say it and just say it's easy. People take the easy way out, but it ain't easy.
Oh yeah.
You know, because
and I mean, you know, what are your thoughts, Pam, before I say anything else?
Say the question one more time, because I'm in it.
I'm scatterbrained right now.
Okay, so I think more it's like the fear of judgment, right?
Yeah.
It kind of boils down to that. It's like, yeah, it's hard to get help. It's hard to want to change, and maybe it would be easier to take myself out.
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, like my ladies guest Tom said, you know, nobody ever asked me what I needed until my wife did. And I'm like, oh. He said, once she said that, things changed for him. Like finally somebody, I feel seen. I feel like I matter.
Yeah.
But there's always that fear of judgment. Like, man, I don't want to be a burden. It's like, dude, you're not a fucking burden. And I get that, because we were all there. Like, I don't want to dump my shit on you, because then you're going to take it on and this, that, and the other, right?
Or they do take it on, and then years down the road, you find out that you were a burden, and it makes you question your entire relationship with that person. Yeah, that's the heartbreaker too.
Yeah, but then it goes back to self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Can you genuinely love yourself and have value in yourself from yourself instead of having it from somebody else. Because if we have somebody else, if we try to seek, what's that word I'm trying to like seek, just like value, but
Validation.
Thank you.
Yep.
From somebody, then that's all we're going to seek that the rest of our lives, and we're never going to truly understand what value we bring to the table, the people that we are, or how to even love ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's like, I would have never been able to even say this to you or understand like that's how it works had I not given myself an honest shot to just breathe and be like, okay, I'm going to give you permission to call me on my shit and not punch you in the throat today.
Yep.
Because you can see what's getting in my way, because I obviously cannot.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody recently, it's so funny we're talking about this, like in a marriage, somebody said like your spouse is like the direct reflection of you. So if they tell you what's getting in your way, maybe you should listen, because they know you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They know you better than anybody else.
You know you better than anybody, or your best friend.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, you know, so it's like they're not telling you that because they want to be a dick or an asshole. It's like they love you. Hey, you're doing this and you're sabotaging yourself. Okay, so okay, well, let's figure out how to get you back on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Then you start learning how to like, oh, that's how this vulnerability stuff works. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And on that note, real quick, as a woman, I tell the men this as much, any opportunity I can tell a man this, I feel like I need to and I want to.
Mm-hmm.
When I can see a man be vulnerable, that helps me feel safe as a woman. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I do know what you mean, because my wife has said those words pretty much to the T. Yeah.
Because if there's a man that's closed off and cold, I shut down.
Mm.
But if there's a man that is like us, like we're just talking, chit-chatting, and it's like, dude, if a man can show their feelings that they're hurting, and they can freaking smile in pictures, come on, guys. It helps me feel safe as a woman. And if you have daughters, think about it that way too. Like, what kind of a man are you teaching them to be with if you're stone cold? You know what I'm saying? And not
my brother hears this. Listen to what she just fucking said.
And it's not just the men, right? Women too. Like, if we can be vulnerable, it's just going to allow other people. It's going to give people permission to do the same.
Yes.
You know, it's really cool. So
yeah, that's like a quote that I always tend to go back to from the movie Coach Carter. Like, you know, he's like, "What's your deepest fear?" And he's like, "As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others to do the same, because our presence liberates them from, or what is it? Because we are liberated from our own fears, and our presence liberates others." So like, and I truly love that. Just, I mean, there's a little bit longer to it. I love that speech. Every time I see that movie, I'm like, oh God, I fucking I get chills at that point, because like it's like a pivotal point in the movie or whatever too. But yeah, it's a good quote. And yeah, I'm just glad that came up. But I wanted to say what he said as well here in this other comment before that.
Which one?
This one here. So stepping back is one of the hardest things you do. In your mind, you have already passed all the other paths to help. You only have the last step to take, and all the pain would be over. Just done. You see the long climb back up, and it's hard to decide not to end it. And I think he understands what I was trying to say there.
Yeah. Totally.
And now you kind of put an idea in my head of how I wanted to end the show when we were talking earlier. And I think I would like to go around the table and ask, in that aspect of self-love, and I would like to end this thing positively, even with a question to the listeners. If you want to just answer this amongst yourself, or shoot us in the comments, whatever. What do you bring to the table as a human being that makes you a better human being? Like you said, that self-love. I'll start it off and just say like when I feel like, you know, someone has maybe rejected, or when I feel like, you know, that wasn't my thing, or, you know, when I feel out of place nowadays, I'm able to kind of say like it's fuck them, it's their loss, because I I might be a little rough around the edges. I might annoy you as a friend. I might text you a million times one day or none the next. KZ will tell you that. I'm going to tell you how I feel all the time. That's going to be a good thing and a bad thing, because you're always going to know how I feel. You're always going to know where you sit with me, because I'm never going to fucking hide it from you. I also tend to say things that are on my mind quicker than anybody else I'd ever met. But with that being said, like, 100% from the heart, I love people in my life more than fucking anybody. I mean, I feel like more than people could. Like, I stop like in the middle of my day and I'm just so happy sometimes with where I'm at, and I can see where I've come from, and I'm very appreciative of where I am now. So I mean, that's what I feel like I bring to the table, is the perspective of someone who's been there before, or that's been through it, and is trying to make up for some of the wrongs he's done in his life. And that's where I'm at with it. Fuck them if they don't want to be my friend, because I'm dope.
Should be on a t-shirt.
It really should. It really
There
should.
we go.
So yeah, who's next?
Pam can go next.
You just voluntold me.
Yeah.
Voluntold.
You want.
Gosh dang. Oh man. What you see is what you get with me. Through and through. I'm not gonna sugarcoat stuff. I love the F word. I love Jesus, and I love drinking whiskey. Yeah, man, I'll love you unconditionally, compassionately, until you show me otherwise. But it's got to be pretty significant for me to cut you out of my life. That's one thing that I'm very good at, is just when I'm done, I'm done. But again, that's from a lot of childhood trauma and stuff that I've just been through. That works for me. I'm not okay with it, which is why I'm going to therapy still. But just being a safe place for people. I really want to make sure I do that day in and day out. What's said in certain circumstances stays in those circumstances. Even with the show as a podcast host, I tell people I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I don't try to be like one. I just ask questions. And then we just go to people really love telling me their shit, like within the first 5 minutes of meeting them. It's really funny.
Hey,
I noticed that too here on this.
weird.
It's like, yo, like people are telling us shit that we
It
just
happens in my like.
Right?
I love it. I love
I'm
it.
It
like,
happens off the air too. I'm just like,
Because you listen.
yeah. Which
I'm
is
here
why the podcast works.
Yep.
yeah.
That's one thing I said in our intro. Like the first intro I made is like, it's a lot of podcasts are designed for you to listen to us, but like, no, like we're here to listen to you. And I think that's been true to our word since day one. So fucking dope. I like that.
Yeah, we just being a safe place is something I pride myself with. Being a Texan, again, I'm super prideful. I'm not gonna deny that, because I'd be full of doo-doo, and y'all would know that. Yeah, man, and just living life every day being intentional with what I do every day.
I like
That's
that.
huge. That's huge. Don't do anything without intention.
Have intention. And if you want to sandbag it and just be lazy, just make sure you're intentional about it. So that's I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
Yeah. We'll do Alder, and then we'll let KZ tell his. Yeah, we're a Texas, and we go hard in the Pacific Northwest apparently too.
Mindy's, God bless Texas, and Bucky's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're that's where So Mindy's actually KZ's mother-in-law. So his wife's their whole family's from Texas as well. What?
Love it.
Lubbock,
Love it.
right? Lubbock, right?
Yeah.
That's where Nikki or Janelle's from. So yeah. So James, again, commenting, answering that question is, knowing whatever I do is appreciated makes me feel useful, makes me feel appreciated. If I know what I do is a good thing for someone else, then I will bend over backwards for anyone. Yeah, that's a fucking very good quality to have. And there is the lovely Miss Janelle. Texas people live hard. Live hard, motherfucker.
Who's that? She's hot.
Some chick. You should make babies with that one.
I should.
Is that your wife? Is
Yeah.
that Miss KZ?
Yeah,
Miss KZ.
She was
Yeah.
actually she came on the show 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, and we talked a little stay-at-home parenting
Nice.
and the perspectives of the man and the woman. But she also been through it a lot more than I have with KZ and 3 deployments and
Yeah.
those babies. But that's our number one fan right there. Yeah, for sure. Janelle Bowden, number one fan.
That's the best.
She texted me that, by the way, after we were on, and I thanked her for coming on. She's like, "Remember, I'm your number one fan."
Oh,
Like I know it. It's all right.
What about you, KZ?
Mowgli, you're up.
what do I bring to the table to the world?
Yeah.
I like to think, I like to think it's laughter, because sometimes in a good and bad way, laughter is a great like outlet for me. Sometimes I use it as a defense mechanism, and I also use it to make people laugh and smile. That's like that fills my boot up every day. Just like watching my kids laugh, making them laugh, like intentionally tickling them, and just like laughter is in my household 24/7. And then wherever I go, I travel on
I knew that was coming. He ain't that funny.
Oh my god. Yeah. That's my roommate. She's so funny.
Yeah, they're a trip together. I'll tell you that much right now.
But yeah, like laughter is like my thing. When I go on the road and travel, and I love my job because my job is to talk to veterans every day. Throughout the disability, the CMP process. So like seeing these veterans and like talking to them, making them laugh, like that's what I love to do. That's my thing. Laughter and interaction with other people. Just because I love people. Sometimes a little bit too much. Sometimes a little bit. I'm a little bit too trustworthy. But that's a fault of mine because I just love being around people. I love human interaction. That's why working from home sucks sometimes, because there's no one here. And when they're like, "Hey, you want to go on the road?" Yes, fly me to Ohio so I can talk everyone's ear off and just be around other people and make them, laugh with them, make them laugh, stuff like that. That's what I'd say. Laughter and human connection, because those are my two favorite things.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
laughing
huge, man.
is definitely on that list for me too.
Yeah. I would say music is a third, because like you mentioned before, music is it's a huge outlet of mine. And growing up and like learning about musical theory, and then and just being unfortunately music was forced down my throat, but I eventually learned to appreciate it in all forms. So like it's a stupid thing that I do in the car, or when I'm listening to music, I'll hear something in the very, very background noise. I'm like, that's cool. And I have to, and it's like an hour car ride, me explaining to my wife why I think that's cool. Like why, it's like why that note in the chorus is different from the first one, because he's trying to say something stupid, stuff like that. But I love music. Music
That's
drives
not
my
stupid.
life.
That's not stupid.
But laughter, human connection, and music.
Music. I
Love
love
Yeah.
that.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, Pam, we're gonna wrap up the show. I appreciate you coming on. Kyle, you got anything?
I do not. This was a good show. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm already looking forward to the next time we get to chat. Not only in our upcoming mastermind, that will be a private thing, but on your show as well. I mean, anytime you want us to come on, just let us know. We can come on separately. We can come and tell you our separate stories or whatever, however you want to do it.
Yeah,
we're open book as well.
I might hit you up on that. I'm gonna do it for sure. I'm thinking I might do it sooner than later, because I need a few more guests coming up soon.
Anytime.
It'd be pretty rad, I'll tell you that. I think having you both would be great, and learning more about y'all's stories, of course. And it's wild, man. Sometimes I pinch myself. I'm like, is this real life?
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, I didn't know what my calling was. And it was like, man, I've got a lot of connections in the veteran community, and just in general. I'm the person people like, can you get me connected to so-and-so, or da-da-da. I'm that person, right?
Yep.
But when I look around, I'm like, dude, I know so and so, and so I can't really say the names on here because I don't want people to start stalking me. But like pretty important people and good, like famous people, but really good people.
Yeah.
Because that could be hit or miss, of course, in that community. But it's just like, dude, is this real life? And
Yeah.
what's cool about that is our veteran community is so tight knit, man.
It
Like
really is.
when you find each other, you stick together. And dude, like, and I'll close with this real quick. Like I tell people, man, our stories are going to be so different. They're going to be so different, but pain and trauma and hurt, that's all going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same. So just like, don't ever devalue your story because you didn't go through what I went through, or I didn't go through what you went through. I didn't get blown up like my buddy Derek. You know, I had other shit happen. But you know what? At the end of the day, we're both still in pain. We're both still dealing with shit. And we're still struggling. But we're also still thriving. And you know what I'm saying? It's like, so I would just encourage people not to devalue your story just because you didn't serve or you didn't go overseas or, you know, whatever we tend to do as humans. Oh, they had it worse. No, they didn't, dude. It's a different story.
Yeah.
Pain's pain, bro. So I did want to add that because I think that's important. And we gotta remember that.
All that shit's the glue that binds us together too. Like all those things you said, the pain, the trauma, I mean, like you said, it's all the same. And that is the glue that really ultimately does bind us together, especially once we're out and we find that that connection again. It's huge.
Dude, hang on.
And that real connection too, not just like like I said, like that superficial conversation connection, like a real connection of people that like genuinely want to hear from you tomorrow. Not just like, I could go months without hearing from that guy and check on him and be like, I did my part. You good? Yeah, I'm good. Okay.
Good.
See, I checked on Turner. He said he was good. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do, but so yeah, again, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a fucking awesome show.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
If you want to, you want to close us out?
Yeah, sure. Y'all remember y'all can get Pam's. You're on all the platforms, aren't you? I know you're at least on Spotify. That's where I checked.
Oh, the podcast?
Yeah, your podcast.
Yeah, it's on all major streaming platforms. Whatever it is that you stream, go on there. 2200 and here it's called 2200 tabs, guys. People say 2200. I'm like, oh god, here we go. Yeah, man. But if you guys go on there and you enjoy a show, leave us a review, good, bad, and different. We could always use feedback to grow. And also subscribe, do all that shit that makes you YouTube famous. Because it's going to reach more people. I don't care about the money right now. I really don't. I haven't made a single penny and I don't really give a shit.
Yep.
I want these stories to reach more people and I can't do that. Or we can't, I say us because we're in it together. We can't do it without you. So all major streaming platforms. Instagram is where I'm super active on social media. So if you want to follow us there, that'd be great too.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then
Shannon. Oh dude, Shannon, what's up, dude?
I was gonna say it looks like one of your. We got one. What's up?
Dude, Shannon is the shit, dude. He's been supporting us since pretty much day one. We love him.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Fucking let's get him on here.
Yeah, he would jump on.
Sick. Hell yeah, dude.
Did I post the website up there? I thought I did. There you go. Or at least your how to get to your podcast. 2200taps.com/podcast. You can get information about what's up.
No, nothing. I was gonna say her that third episode she mentioned that if you want to hear her full background, that episode 3, it's in the link. Link is in the comments.
There we go. And listeners, if anyone wants to be a guest on the show, it's as easy as just sending us a Facebook message on Facebook, or sending us the email veteranchatproject@gmail.com. Come follow us. Come listen to our these awesome stories like Pam's story today. We appreciate you sharing your story today. That being said, love y'all. Remember, you're not alone. And we're out.
Clear eyes, full boots, can't lose. I've been thinking about that shit.
Damn it.